Solid Mind here. I'm back, and today we are looking at Nothing Phone officially adding iMessage into Android. This is a big game changer because if this pans out correctly, Nothing can start attracting more iOS users. Let's watch the video and see how it's gonna pan out a little bit.
Are you gonna piss Apple off?
I'm working under the assumption that Tim Cook isn't going to watch this video.
We've developed an app that allows you to iMessage from Android.
Okay.
You've likely heard of the blue bubble, green bubble debate, where Apple's
Yes, I've heard about it. It looks more like a American issue because I know in America, a lot of the teenagers there, I think 80% of them are all using Apple devices, whereas here in the UK, it's not as drastic as 80%. So I think maybe in America it's a much bigger issue, and it's a much bigger market anywhere in America. Here in the UK, maybe even Europe, it is a factor. I know personally, for example, I've had the issue in the past where I was an iPhone user and I changed my phone to Android. I got a new Android phone, but I just converted my number from the iPhone number to the Android number, and all my iPhone users couldn't get text sent to me because it was sending it through iMessage, but I can't read iMessage, so they had to send it in a different way, and it's a mess. So if Nothing can make this work, it can kind of break that barrier down a little bit. So let's see what they say and how they'll do it.
lack of RCS support limits features between Android and iOS. That risks user privacy, causes discrimination, affects dating. I mean, it's even in a Drake song.
I just don't have time.
To be fair, I guess in this market where we are right now, the general, view in this tech space is if you use an iPhone, then it means you're more sophisticated. It means, you like what I like. So maybe in the dating pool, because most of the younger people are using iPhones, it might be like a negative tick towards you if you are using an Android phone, or even if the messaging back and forth becomes a bit messy, or because of you have an Android. So I can kind of see how this could be a big selling point, especially to the younger demographic, especially to them in the dating pool.
For this, go back to the blue bubble.
In our research, we found James, a journalist at Inverse, who said he'd be open to trying an Android if it didn't mean losing iMessage. To find out more, Carl sat down with him to further understand his feelings and what we can do here at Nothing to make tech better for those on both sides.
Oh, let's find out. Let's see.
Nice to meet you, James. So before we get started, can you tell everybody a little bit more about yourself?
I'm the senior editor at inverse.com, and I write about a lot of things. I write about phones, just as my primary
I need to
device
skip the
overall.
reviews.
It's a good device.
For people out there who don't really understand this entire iMessage thing, could you just explain it a bit from the...
Yeah, I just realized he's using the Nothing Air 2 earphones, so he must be a Nothing phone user himself. Let's find out.
US perspective?
Third-party messaging is a thing here still. It's not like we don't know what WhatsApp is or Signal or Telegram, but it is far less common to use those than it is.
Yeah, I think here in Europe, the EU area, WhatsApp is, I think, the biggest messaging app by far, even bigger than iMessage. I think it's a very American-centric situation. iMessage is big, but in terms of like a general usage, WhatsApp is probably as big as iMessage here, and everybody who has an iPhone, from what I know, has WhatsApp on it. So I think that kind of breaks the barrier down a little bit. And I won't lie to you, like when I make new friends or make new connections, I always text via WhatsApp. Everybody does. But hey, that's just here in Europe. I don't know about America, how that works.
Is to just text somebody. Like if I asked my friends, like, hey, message me on WhatsApp, they'd be like, what's wrong with you? Why? Why would I do that?
Yeah, I think this is very American in that sense, in terms of that's an issue that here it's not even an issue. It's like, okay, text me on WhatsApp. And they'll be like, yeah, cool. It's not a big deal. But anyway, let's continue.
What's the main fear about leaving iMessage behind?
Yeah.
You can't see when someone's typing, read receipts.
Mhm.
Even the contrast is different, you know, with like the green messages.
Yeah, I think this is why WhatsApp is used a lot, because you can use it on your phone, and it's like paid by WhatsApp. I'm not sponsored at all by WhatsApp, but yeah, I think this is why in the American market especially, this will play a big part, because it removes all those blue and green bubbles and read receipts and see who's typing. WhatsApp basically makes it all seamless and has those features basically.
How do you message your friends who are on Android?
I text them.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably more likely to like message them on Instagram.
Do you think there's anything else that's stopping you from moving to Android?
Yeah, there's the familiarity. I've been using iPhones for a long time,
Yep.
and I'm familiar with iOS. There's a lot of crossover between Android and iOS, and that was one of the things.
I wouldn't say it's a lot of crossover. I would just say they are taking the best bits of both elements, and both iOS and Androids keep stealing each other's little details. So yeah, to be fair, nothing is pretty smart. They're making their phones look like iPhones, and if you turn the screen in the front, like show an iPhone and a nothing phone, they look, you know what, I'll put pictures here on the screen, they look very similar when the screen's off between the nothing phone and the iPhone. So I think nothing is really trying to steal market share from this juggernaut, this big organization called Apple. But let's see.
Things that I was pleasantly surprised at was that just picking up an Android device and using it is pretty intuitive. I think that there's just a lot of crossover now between operating systems, and we have this like common language that's applied across both Android and
Yeah,
iOS.
fair.
Texting almost seems like a very basic, human need to connect, but now there's this kind of barrier between iPhone.
Yep. I'm guessing he wants to break the barrier down. Let's go a bit further.
We began working on a few projects that hopefully can level the play. Or maybe there's some other kind of barrier to switching, and then just speaking to friends, especially in the US, they talk a lot about playing field a little bit. First
let's see.
thoughts. We began working on a few projects that hopefully can level the playing field a little bit. First product that we're building is called Nothing Chats.
That's pretty exciting. So you're blue bubbling the green bubble.
Yeah, with the Nothing phone 2, you can blue bubble and camouflage yourself. Yeah, so we were kind of frustrated because we saw in the data that a lot of our Nothing Ear users were actually iPhone users. So the majority of them are actually on iPhone.
I see. Okay, this is good marketing and also good use of data. So Nothing are doing some research on, what devices connect to their earbuds. How did they even know that? Anyway, so if they can convert more, I see. So if the majority, okay, I get it now. Nothing a genius at marketing and understanding buying behaviors, because the CEO of Nothing was the old CEO of OnePlus. So if he's saying right, if the majority of the earphone users who buy Nothing earbuds use iPhones, what if he can convert those users to buy not just earbuds, but to buy the Nothing phone as well? If the barrier is removed a little bit, because think about it this way. If an iPhone user is buying an Android earphone, it means they're probably on the border. They're probably willing to consider looking on the Android side. Normally, iPhone users would go to, AirPods. So if they're buying these Nothing earbuds, then that means that the conversion to Android is a little bit easier. And when you break that barrier down and then add the ability to basically hide through iMessage, so that when an iPhone user texts you, they don't see any difference in the texting experience or the color, then that even breaks that barrier down, converting it to more sales, which means more sales, more profit. More profit, everyone wins. So Nothing is smart. Very smart. Let's continue.
Majority of our smartphone users do not come from iPhone. They come overwhelmingly from Android. So we were like, they like our design because they're buying our earbuds, but they're not buying our phones because maybe there's something else there. Maybe there's some other barrier to switching. And then just speaking to friends, especially in the US, they talk a lot about iMessage. We're like, how can we do something about this? And we started looking at the different teams working on this problem, and we got in touch with the Sunbird team. We quickly kind of grouped together and came up with this kind of naughty idea.
You know what? When you are CEO and you are able to make your ideas into reality, that makes you probably one of those good CEOs in that sense. But let's continue.
That we're about to launch soon.
Let's
see how people are going to react to this once we release it.
You know what? Let me end it there. So it looks like it's going to be just called an app just in the Nothing phones, which is a big game changer. So I'm going to assume this is going to only come out onto the Nothing phones. And the way this will work is you will log into your iCloud in the Nothing chat, and what that does, it logs into a remote Mac Mini or iMac somewhere else, but then that means security could be an issue if you're giving your iCloud on a device you can't control. MKBHD made a video about it. I'll link it somewhere. But yeah, this breaks the barrier down. If you don't really care about that security element, and not really care, but you can easily make a new iCloud account. So you don't really lose anything from this, and you don't need an iPhone to make an iCloud account to send iMessages. So yeah, what do you guys think? This is interesting. I want to see how this pans out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.